Welcome to the second session of attitude formation. This is the 16th session of the module, and I, Dr. Shravanti Mukherjee, would be presenting you this session again. And in this session, in the last session, we have talked about some attitude formation model, and in this session, we are going to talk about three specific issues and three specific models in this. The first one should be multi-attribute model, and in which we have two models to discuss: the attitude towards object model ATO, then the idle point multi-attribute model, and the third one is the theory of reasoned action by Martin Fishburne 1980. All these models are propounded by Martin Fishburne. So, we start with the multi-attribute model 1, that is the attitude towards object model, which were propounded by Martin Fishburne in the year of 1972. So, Fishburne has presented the model with a set of equation, and this ATO equation is as follows, where we say that ATO, that is attitude towards the object, equal to the summation of BI into EI, where I running from 1 to up to n. Now, what is BI? BI is the relative importance of the attribute. And what is EI? The product's perceived performance on attribute I. N is the number of salient attribute. Now, to make it clear, I will just show you, look at here. Say we have two cars to evaluate. One is Maruti Alto and Hyundai Ion, and you want to see as a customer how do I take a decision. The first, say I have some criteria. So, I have some criteria like C I am putting as criteria, and this is the weight of those criteria. So, what I am doing is I am asking the customer that what are the preferred criteria on which he will choose a car. So, they are saying okay, price could be one criteria, then mileage could be one criteria, then my style and design could be one criteria, and maybe the comfort may be one criteria. So, these are the four criteria based on which I will select a car. Now, I am asking the customer that which attribute you will give more weightage. For example, if some customer may have more weightage for price, so maybe he is giving a kind of say 30% weightage for price. Then maybe he is thinking the second important criteria may be kind of mileage. So, maybe he is giving around 25 to this, 25%. So, then we are coming, so we are, so this way he has to give the weightage of this criteria, where this sigma Wi has to be 1, that is the constant sum. So, accordingly he can frame like this is 55. So, another maybe he is giving another 25, and here he maybe is giving 20. So, this shows that the relative importance of the attribute, and maybe now I am asking him that you have been given a 5-point scale 1 to up to 5, where 5 is best or excellent, where 1 is worst. So, in between the other points. So, now he is giving say Maruti Alto 4, 5, 5, 3, 2, 1, 4, 2. So, like this maybe. So, now according to the ATO model, now if I want to find out attitude towards object say Alto, then I will use this formula like sigma Wi into this, as I said, EI. Now, EI is this cell, this is E1 cell, E11 cell rather, this is the cell number E12. So, I will write here rather EIJ, because I am actually talking about two products, not one product. The otherwise I have used here this in the slide what you are seeing is one particular product, it is written EI, but when I am comparing two cells I am writing EIJ. So, now similarly if I want to find out the score attitude score for Maruti Alto, then I will write in this way 30 into 4 plus 0.25 into 5 plus 0.25 into 2 plus 0.20 into 4, and that would be the total score of Alto. Similarly, I can find out the attitude towards object for Ion. So, for ion I will write in this way like 0.30 into 5, because now I have to multiply this into this, then plus this into this, then plus this into this, then plus this into this. Okay. This multiplied by this. So, this is how I am writing here 0.25 into 3 plus 0.25 into 1 plus 0.20 into 2, and that will give me my total score for alto. Now, whichever is higher, for example, if ATO for alto is higher than ATO of ion, then I will prefer ATO for alto. If ATO of ion is higher than ATO of alto, then I will prefer ion. So, this is the first model which has been suggested. So, the second one is the ideal point multi-attribute model. So, here the ideal point multi-attribute model therefore can be represented by the equation which is written here AP, which shows that first is the Wi into the ideal point attribute minus xi. So, here Wi is the relative importance of the attribute I, and II is the ideal performance of the product of any of the product on this particular attribute I, and xi is the belief about the product's actual performance on attribute I, and n is the number of salient features. So, now again if we draw here, again if we try to see now the performance of say one product if we take now. So, again if we put this weightage and this is Ci. So, if we put say criteria number 1, C1, C2, C3 and C4, and weightages similarly. So, we are putting here weightages like again 30, 0.25, 0.25, 0.20. Now, here say we are just trying to see alto. So, what say alto, and we are putting here the score 4, 3, 5, 1. Okay. Now, we try to see in this particular attribute what could be the score of an, this could be x and this could be I. Now, I am talking about the ideal brand. Okay. What could be the ideal score in this particular criteria? Maybe I am putting all 5. So, I want the best car. So, all 5 I am putting. Now, I have to see first the difference between these two, like I have to see II minus xi. So, here it would be say II minus xi 5, 2, 0 and 4, and then I have to do what is Wi into II minus xi. So, that I have to do, I have to multiply 0.30 into 1, here I am putting 0.25 into 2, here I am putting 0.25 into 0, here I am putting 0.20 into 4, and here I need to get a summation of Wi into II minus xi. Now, if this II minus xi, this particular score, that is the, this is just the reverse of the ATO model actually, if this is positive, then we do not have, then maybe our attitude towards the product is not so favorable, because we are having a difference between the ideal performance of the product and the actual performance of the product. So, therefore, our attitude may not be very favorable towards this particular brand, but if in case this is negative, for example, if this is negative, then what happens, then which means, or if it may not, if it is 0 also, 0 means my expected performance of the product and the actual performance of the product in my mind is actually same. So, therefore, I am very satisfied, I may have form a favorable attitude towards this kind of product. So, the more lesser it is, my attitude would be more favorable. It is just the reverse. ATO, when we talked about that time, we said that the more the score is, the product is more favorable to the customer. Here it is just the reverse. Now, we talk about theory of reasoned action, that is Torah model. So, adhering to the social psychology framework, the theory of reasoned action was developed again by Martin Fishman and Isaac Azen in 1975 and 1980 respectively, and it is said that the TRA, this not only focuses on the steps of attitude formation, but also appraises social and marketing parameters. See, till now ATO or AP, idle point multi attribute model, we are only focusing on the utility and function of the product mostly. Now, here I am not only talking about the feature or the attributes of the object, but I am also thinking about something else which is subjective norms. So, that is why we are saying we are also taking in this case the social parameter, which means it is not only how I like the product, but if I use the product, how society will feel about me. So, that part is the subjective norm, which is also incorporated in this particular model. So, that is how we can say that it is basically a little bit of upgradation of the earlier models of Fishman. So, here the equation which we write here is BI, that is a behavioral intention, which is a summation of weighted summation of your attitude toward performing any behavior, and the other one is the subjective norm. And these weights W1 and W2 is not the customer defined weights as such, these weights are found from running a regression. When you get this, if you survey say 100 customer and run a regression on this, then of course, these weights are found from these are the coefficients of the unstandardized coefficient rather of the regression model. So, when we talk about, so therefore, we go to the model little bit, which will make you very clear to understand it. The first one we say here, see the behavioral intention here, how it is formed. So, first of all we talk about like beliefs about the particular behavior, and then we talk about the evaluation of the behavior. The beliefs about the behavior is like, say for example, I want to select a particular multi gym to go to exercise. So, the first thing would be that whether if I exercise, then I will improve my health and lose some excess weight. So, that is my belief about the outcome of the behavior. So, that is one part. Then I will say that okay, evaluation of that outcome. So, that is what is written, evaluation of that behavior, which means that okay, if I lose my weight, I will be healthy, slimmer, and I will enjoy, I will have a satisfying experience. So, in this case what is happening, the first one I am talking about is the beliefs about the outcome of the behavior, where I am saying if I exercise, I will improve my health and lose some of my excess weight. Whereas, evaluation of the outcome, there I am saying that being healthy, slimmer and enjoyable is satisfying and pleasant for me. So, if I combine these two things, then my attitude towards a specific behavior comes into picture, and that attitude could be exercise could be a good thing to do for me. And the second part of this model talks about the subjective norms and how subjective norm is formed. Subjective norm is formed based on two different functions. The first function is the normative beliefs about the behavior, that my family and friend thinks that I should exercise. Okay. And then what is the motivation that I will comply what my family is thinking and my friends are thinking, and that motivation is I want to do what they want, because I want them to like me. So, therefore, and this is my group norm, or maybe I do not want to be the odd man out. So, if all my friends are going for gymming, so I will also go to gym. Right. So, this two combination, that first of all is a normative beliefs about the behavior, and second is the motivation to comply to that behavior, that together results in your subjective norm, and that subjective norm in this case is exercising is an appropriate action to do. So, I got two things. A is my attitude towards a specific behavior, where I have said that exercise would be good thing for me to do, and second I have said is the subjective norm, where I have said that exercising is an appropriate thing to do or a good thing to do. And in combination now with this attitude towards object and the subjective norm, my behavioral intention is formed, which means I am going to start the gym or I am going to start the exercise. Okay. And then and only then I will go for a multi gym. So, this is in short the Torah model. The Torah model, if you go back here, is talking about two things. A is attitude towards performing a behavior and B is the subjective norm. So, as I said, attitude towards a specific behavior is a combination of two functions. A is the beliefs about the outcome of the behavior and B is the evaluation of that outcome. And when we talk about subjective norm, A is the norm, it is also a combination of two functions. Here the first function is the normative beliefs about the behavior and B is the motivation to comply to that behavior. So, that comes to the subjective, that together brings some subjective norms, and subjective norm and attitude towards the behavior, and these together forms the behavioral intention of myself, and this behavioral intention in turn leads to the final behavior, that is purchase. Now, we talk about the what happens in case of societal marketing context. In societal marketing context, for example, a polio vaccination campaign is going on or HIV campaign is going on, anti-HIV campaign. At that time, the model follows AKBP kind of structure, which says that first the customer should be aware about it. If you even remember the ad of HIV, which is this Buladi campaign, the first step was just to induce the 1097, this particular people should dial to this 1097, that was the first intention of that ad. So, the entire focus was on the mostly that you should dial this phone number to know further about this particular disease. And then comes the knowledge part. In the second sequel, they started talking about the phone calls, when they are getting the phone calls. So, that time they may start giving the knowledge about this particular disease and how to prevent those disease. After listening to this, even the customers will comprehend it in their own way. They will have several subjective norms, as we have said, that certain actions in the society may not allow them to perform certain actions. So, therefore, those subjective norms would be predicament for performing certain behavior, that is formation of attitude. So, therefore, their behavior will also, or the attitude will also depend on those predicaments or those barriers. So, A is the knowledge and B is the social norms or the subjective norms. Then their behavior towards that would form whether they whatever they are listening from the marketing campaign, whether they are ready to adopt that or not. Okay, they are preferring that or not, conviction has formed or not to do that. And finally, is the practice. Practice is actually, it is almost like the purchase stage, which means here you are actually practicing what was suggested in the marketing campaign. So, even if we talk about the polio vaccination, same thing, like first is the awareness stage, then you start getting knowledge that if you do not go for this polio vaccination, what could be the negative outcomes. Then you start forming a behavior, okay, should I, then it is better to take my child to the polio booth. And then there would be several other predicaments also, like a family may say that no, that is not required and all this. So, after that, when you finally go for take your child to the booth for polio vaccination, that comes to the practice stage. Okay. And each stage, the extent of information provided by the marketer, the level of persuasion done by the marketer would be slightly different. So, this is how we talk about the attitude formation model. So, in short, we have talked about the hierarchy of effect model, we have talked about the in the session 1 of attitude formation, we have talked about these models actually, the hierarchy of effects model, the tri-component attitude formation model, and we have compared that with other communication models as well. And in this session, we have covered up the multi-attribute attitude formation model, in which we have covered ATO and the idle point multi-attribute model, and then we have covered the Torah model by Myrtle Fishbein, and finally, we have talked about what happens, how attitude is formed in social marketing context. So, this much for today, and thank you. We will meet in the next session. Goodbye.